I'm pregnant, so give me a $60,000 gift. Madison blurted out her true feelings. How dare she come back home so boldly after stealing my fiancé? Just because she's pregnant doesn't mean she's forgiven. My father calmly repeats, "Get out." No way. I've already decided to come home for childbirth. What's wrong with a daughter returning to her parents' house? Madison, still brazen, seems unaware of the truth. She has no home to return to. Moreover, she's lost something even more important. I'm Emily Smith, 25 years old. Soon to be Mrs. Johnson. My marriage is settled. A year ago, worried about my eternal single status, my friends practically dragged me to a mixer. Honestly, it was none of their business. Because I'm not good looking. I've always been self-conscious about not having a bigger butt or a smaller nose since I was a kid. I thought no man could ever like unattractive me. But at that mixer, I met my destiny, Michael Johnson. Michael, lively in the life of the party, even talked to me, shrinking in the corner. "Your name is Emily? That's cute." My heart raced so fast I thought I'd have a heart attack. "Wow, Emily, you work at a good company. That means you've been studying hard since your student days. That's impressive. You're a hard worker." My less social, study-focused student days felt rewarded. It's fun to be with cheerful people. But being with calm people like Emily is more relaxing. Michael liked me, and I got my first ever boyfriend. Everything, from movies to meals, was so much more fun with two people than alone. And after dating for a year, he proposed, and now we're starting our wedding preparations. He's sociable and handsome, too good for me. My goodness, Emily's too lucky. When I introduced Michael to my parents, my mother first showed surprise. I thought the same, but it still hurts to hear it from her. "Where did you find such a handsome guy?" "Walking next to you, Emily, it's embarrassing." I feel sorry for Michael. My father quietly told her to stop, and she tapped her head. Sorry, I got carried away. I can't believe plain Emily is getting married, and she brought home a handsome guy. I'm shocked. Despite looking quiet, you did well, Emily. Michael and I exchanged wry smiles. My mother has always put me down. Emily, your nose is too big. Wouldn't it be better if it were smaller? Maybe you should consider plastic surgery? Hearing this repeatedly made me hate my appearance. And I have an older sister, for years my senior, who's stunningly beautiful. Tall, with distinct facial features, she looks like a model. People often compliment her looks, and occasionally, I'd receive some spillover praise like, "You are cute too." But my mother would quickly negate it. No, we don't need flattery here. Sorry to make you feel awkward. Standing next to each other, it's hard to find something to say about this one, right? Look, her nose is big, and her legs are short. She's quite the unfortunate one compared to her sister. She seemed delighted as she put me down in front of others. I remember the miserable feeling of being exposed in public. I had a faint hope that, at least today, during the marriage introduction, she would genuinely congratulate me. But my mother was the same as always, so I just looked down quietly. I made it! Let me see Emily's boyfriend! A bright voice suddenly filled the somewhat tense living room. Turning around, there was my sister, Madison. The beautiful sister I had always been compared to. Michael's face immediately relaxed. You're Emily's sister? Michael sounded excited. You don't look much like Emily, do you? I know, right? I get that a lot. Michael and Madison laughed and chatted freely, despite just meeting. On the way back, Michael kept reminiscing about Madison. Madison was cute, wasn't she? She seems like a nice sister, lucky you. It's nice, Emily, having a beautiful sister. Oh, and your mom's beautiful too. Madison takes after her, I guess. I forced a smile, though my heart felt complicated. Your dad's really nice too. I can't believe he's prepared $60,000 for our wedding. We can have a grand ceremony. Emily's family is really blessed. Michael repeated how envious he was. Then, suddenly, Michael stopped. Ah, that's right. I'm gonna be part of Emily's family. We're getting married, after all. I'll get a beautiful sister and a kind dad. Michael's playful remark made me burst out laughing. He's straightforward and adorable. I thought he could easily laugh off my worries. But a week later, Michael said, "Let's break up." He said it so casually, like a morning greeting, and I just tilted my head, not understanding. Still smiling, I asked, "What?" "So, let's break up." "What? What do you mean?" Michael sighed exaggeratedly. "I mean, it's over between us, Emily. No wedding. I don't love you anymore. Actually, I never really did." He laughed heartily at his own words. "I thought it'd be nice to have a hardworking, serious, and money-making wife like you. I really felt a spark thinking Emily's the one I'll marry. But I didn't want to hear the rest. I wanted to cover my ears, but I was frozen in place. If we're getting married, looks matter, right? The thought of waking up every day to your face and thinking she's ugly today too is like torture. So, I'm marrying Madison." I had a bad feeling when Michael and Madison first met. The happiness I almost had slipped away easily. In the end, I couldn't win against the beautiful Madison. I wanted to believe this was a lie, but then Madison herself joyfully announced her engagement. "Sorry, Emily. I took Michael. I'm almost in my 30s and was thinking about marriage, so I'll marry Michael." When Madison called me to our parents' house, my mother had prepared a feast. "Madison is finally getting married. I'm happy, but it's a bit lonely," she said. "You're crying, Mom?" "Just tears of joy. Right?" It looked like a happy exchange between mother and daughter. But my dad was shocked. And rigid expression said otherwise. "Michael, as in Emily's?" "Yeah. He said he'd rather marry me." My dad, sitting in his dining chair, leaned back sharply. Almost falling, I rushed to support him. "Are you okay, Dad?" He was trembling, unable to speak. "What's with that reaction? Are you that sad I'm getting married?" Madison laughed mockingly, pointing at him, despite Dad's obvious distress. "Don't joke around. What do you think you're doing to Emily?" Dad shouted in a flipped voice. Madison and Mom laughed even harder. I could only rub my red-faced father's back. "Get out! How can you enjoy stealing your sister's fiancé? I don't want to see your face. Get out and never show it again!" Dad shouted, tears streaming down his face. Ugh, scary. And he's crying, gross. "Honey, it's supposed to be a celebration. Stop it. Calm down." Dad glared at my giggling mother. He slammed his fist on the dining table with a loud crash. Madison and Mom flinched at the sound. "Dad, that's so unfair. You were happy about Emily's marriage, but you won't bless mine? A father discriminating between his children is the worst. I'm so disappointed in you." Madison and Mom left the house after dropping these parting words. Dad pushed the feast on the table aside, tears of frustration in his eyes. "I'm sorry, Emily." "Why are you apologizing, Dad? I'm over it now, it's okay." "No, it's not that. Dad was wrong. Actually." Then Dad started to speak, hesitantly revealing the truth I had never even considered. It was unexpected, but I accepted it without question. If only I had been more assertive. "Dad, it's okay. It's better this happened before the marriage. Even if we had married, he was the kind of man who would have cheated eventually. Let her have him." I tried to sound strong, but tears rolled down my cheeks. "Emily, I will always be on your side." Dad gripped my hand tightly. At that moment, I let out all the emotions I had been holding back and threw myself into his arms. Since then, I haven't seen Madison or Michael. Madison apparently moved into Michael's apartment, enjoying their newlywed life. Our family home and my apartment in the city are in New York, while Michael's place is in a neighboring state, about an hour's train ride away. The physical distance was a relief, given that Michael and I used to hang out in the city. The emotional wound was deep, but it gradually healed over time. It's been a year since that nightmarish incident, and my memories of Michael have faded to a blur. I started visiting my childhood home again, thanks to Dad's efforts, especially since Mom was there. I was getting used to a peaceful life. Then, one warm Sunday, I went to visit Dad. "Dad, you love pork belly, right? I'll cook some for you." As I stood in the kitchen chatting with Dad, our calm time was abruptly interrupted. The sound of the front door being jiggled caught our attention. In broad daylight, we braced for a burglar, but to our surprise, the door unlocked, and an unexpected person appeared. "Ah, Emily's here. Long time no see." It was Madison. Behind her was Michael, carrying large bags. "Madison, why are you here?" Dad stood up, startled as if he'd seen a ghost. "I told you never to show your face here again." Scary. "Are you still mad, Dad? Do you hold grudges that long?" Madison sat down on the living room sofa. "Get out! This isn't your home." Again, my father raised his voice. But Madison just smiled smugly. "Come on, Dad. Stop being angry about something that happened a year ago. It's over now." Madison gently stroked her belly with a strangely tender touch, making me feel uneasy. "I'm pregnant. You're going to be a grandfather, Dad. Aren't you happy? I've decided to come back home for the birth, so please take care of me." It was clear. Madison thought that having a baby would make everything forgivable. The way she lovingly stroked her belly seemed almost mockingly spiteful. "I'll let you hold the baby, Dad. Let's make up, okay?" Dad, with a furrowed brow, spoke in a low voice. "What's your real motive?" Madison clicked her tongue in annoyance. So rude. "I'm trying to make amends here." Dropping her smiling facade, Madison revealed her true intentions. "I'm pregnant, so I want a $60,000 gift." It was about money, after all. I couldn't help but blurt out, "I'm not interested in my sister's child. Please leave." Then Madison clung to Michael. "No way, Emily's scary. Are you still mad at me? That's too obsessive, don't you think? Wait, do you still have feelings for Michael? Stop trying to steal someone else's husband, okay? Oh, but with you, I guess I don't have to worry about him being stolen." Madison and Michael exchanged glances and snickered. Feeling embarrassed, I averted my eyes from their mocking stares. "Wow, you really are ugly. I'm glad we didn't get married. When you're angry, you get more wrinkles and your eyes look even worse. No benefits at all. Ugliness becomes uglier. Come on, Emily, smile." "Hey Madison, leave her alone. Even if she smiles, she's still ugly." True. As my father and I remained silent, the two of them got carried away, feeling victorious. No matter how beautiful they might look on the outside, their smiles were tainted with ugliness. Their loud, obnoxious laughter was grating to my ears. After a while, my father repeated, "Get out." "No way. I've already decided to come back home for childbirth. Is it bad for a daughter to return to her parents' house? Hey, by the way, where's Mom? I'm hungry." Dad tilted his head in confusion. "Haven't you heard? Why didn't Madison know?" Dad continued. "Your mother is no longer here." "What?" "I had her leave." "What?" I had assumed Madison had been informed by our mother. But her reaction suggested she was completely unaware. "What? That's a lie. Why?" The reason was obvious, Madison herself. Despite Madison stealing my fiancé, Mom didn't mind and even blessed her marriage. We sisters had always been discriminated against by our mother, but this was too much. Even Dad couldn't forgive her. "I can't believe this. Who's going to take care of me and the baby then?" Bring Mom back right now. Madison, the reason for our parents' strained marriage, was still only concerned about herself. Madison, stop it. That's impossible. Why? Just ask Mom to come back and apologize. No, it's impossible. Mom isn't coming back because she and Dad are divorced. Madison choked, unable to speak. So, the kind of homecoming for childbirth you're thinking of isn't possible. It's a lie. It's not a lie. Besides, the divorce was because of you, Madison. You had the nerve to come back after breaking up our parents. Madison's face contorted as she slowly looked around the room. The flashy paintings and cute stuffed animals that were Mom's favorites were gone. The reality of the divorce hit Madison hard. What about the baby then? You'll have to take care of it yourself. You're going to be a mother, after all. That's what you should do. But I can't handle childcare. I don't want a life with messy hair and no nails. Even if I have a child, I want to be a glamorous mom. Without Mom, it's all impossible. I was appalled. She planned to dump all childcare on Mom. The baby would probably be just an accessory to get compliments from others. I can't believe you got divorced without consulting me. Ugh, this is so annoying. Fine, Dad will do. I'm moving in here for a while. Dad can take care of the baby. Had she not been listening? Dad was rejecting her, but she acted otherwise. Madison seemed to believe she was a special being, entitled to love and protection from everyone. It was baffling to imagine what was going on in her mind. Why should I? Dad had calmed his earlier agitation and asked coldly. Come on, Dad. Let's end this fight, okay? I'll apologize to Emily. I'm really sorry. I took Michael from you. I can't raise the baby alone. Help me, Dad. Her feigned sweetness was chilling. Dad twitched at his temples and contorted his face. Stop it, will you? I don't want to be called Dad by you. You're not my daughter. That's mean, Dad. It was nauseating to watch. Was this the behavior that fooled men? It certainly wasn't working on Dad. Be quiet. Every time I hear your voice, I feel disgusted. Understand this, I have no obligation to take care of you. We're not family, we're strangers. That's so mean. Does the bond of parent and child break so easily? There was never a bond to begin with. Dad took a deep breath before revealing a truth. You and I are not blood related. Madison's eyes widened in shock. I had heard this story a year ago, after Madison stole my then fiancé, Michael. Madison, your mom's child from a previous marriage, and we got married later. I learned that I was a child born after they remarried. I had always felt that the discrimination from our mother towards us sisters was more than just because of Madison's appearance. Perhaps Mom was overcompensating out of fear of Dad's favoritism. Dad had always loved us equally, and the fact that I was still his daughter didn't change. That's absurd. So now that you're divorced from Mom, you're cutting ties with me because we're not blood related? That's too cruel. And I always thought of you as my dad. After all these years, you're just going to abandon me? Madison was only 2 years old when they remarried. It made sense she had no memory of that time and believed Dad was her biological father. There's no abandoning, you and I. Madison cut him off with a loud voice. I hate this. I can't believe I thought of someone like you as my dad, how stupid. Despite being shocked, her anger seemed to outweigh everything else. It doesn't matter who my dad is. Actually, I'm glad you're not my real dad. If I had your DNA, my beauty would have definitely been downgraded. I wonder if my real dad is handsome. Lucky me, born from a beautiful mother and a handsome father. Madison's lack of distress and her harsh words were infuriating. But Madison's scheming expression continued. Just because you're divorced doesn't mean you can cut off our parent-child relationship just like that. This will be the last time, so please celebrate the baby. Right, Dad? Madison tilted her head, trying to appear cute. You were going to give Emily $60,000 for her wedding, right? Since I'm not having a wedding, you can give me that as a baby shower gift. I'll give up on coming home for childbirth. She seemed intent on getting whatever she could, even in the process of cutting ties. There's not a penny for strangers. I've fulfilled my duty as a parent. Go to your mother for help. Michael, please take Madison and leave. Dad was firm in his refusal. Michael, who had been quiet, finally spoke up. That's not right. Just because you divorced your wife, does that mean you're no longer Madison's parent? You raised her since she was a child, don't you have any feelings? Besides, it's not the unborn child's fault, so please give them a celebration. Don't make me repeat myself. I have no money for strangers. Go to your mother. Madison and Michael accused Dad of being heartless. I feel sorry for my past self, thinking of you as my father. When the baby is born, I'll tell them their grandfather was the worst. Mom hated him, so he didn't celebrate your birth. Madison and the baby will always resent you. Madison spat out her curse-like words. But Dad remained unfazed. Blame your mother. Mom's a victim, discarded by you. I raised you as my own daughter, but we couldn't become a real family because of your mother. What? Dad looked straight at Madison and explained. When we remarried, I thought we'd become a real family by legally adopting Madison. But your mother secretly tore up the adoption papers. Dad asked, do you know why? Madison frowned in confusion. Your mother wanted to keep receiving child support from your biological father. She hid the remarriage and continued to receive about $400 a month. At the time of the remarriage, Mom insisted on keeping her maiden name. So Madison wouldn't know about the marriage change. Reflecting now, it was likely to keep the remarriage a secret. Dad continued in a disgusted tone. If that money had been used for Madison, it would be understandable. But it seems it was just pocket money for her. What? That's how it is. We're divorced now, and you and I are strangers. Why should I give a large sum of money to a stranger? Is this extortion? Should I call the police? Madison's face turned red with anger and embarrassment. That's awful. How can you be so cold? The cold one is your mother. After a pause, I asked, why did you suddenly decide to come back home for childbirth without discussing it first? Because Mom. Madison hesitated. Because Mom? She reluctantly continued. Mom didn't reply. I couldn't contact her. I thought she'd be happy about the baby and that coming home for childbirth would be fine. I see, so you decided to come back on your own because you couldn't contact Mom. Didn't you think it was strange that she wasn't responding? Not really. Right, Madison always assumed she was loved and deserved special treatment. You never thought Mom would abandon you. What? I don't think Mom wants to see you anymore. That's a lie. Mom loves me. Yes, but it seems she loves herself more. I believed Mom would always side with Madison no matter what. So it was unbelievable that she would betray Madison in the worst way. It was shortly after Madison had stolen my fiancé, Michael, leading to a marriage by elopement. The relationship between my father and mother had irreparably broken down. Inevitably, they divorced, and the very next day, my mother quickly disappeared. She took the money intended for your wedding, too. Madison, still not grasping the situation, listened. As I continued. Dad had saved $60,000 for both of us. But Mom took your share and disappeared without telling you about the divorce or the money. After the divorce, it was decided that Mom would take care of Madison. Mom condemned Dad as a heartless man, vowing never to let Madison see him again. So, Dad never reached out to Madison. He believed Mom would tell her about the divorce and give her the money, but this was the outcome. That's horrible. Give me my money back. Madison grabbed my shirt, but there was nothing I could do. I looked into her eyes and said firmly. That's why Dad said to blame Mom. Madison was struggling to accept that Mom had abandoned her. Confused, she held her head.
What should I do? Who will take care of the baby? My money,
she muttered in a panic. Turning to Michael, who had been trying to stay out of it, Madison cried for help.
Michael, what should we do?
Michael avoided eye contact and muttered, I don't know. Michael was never reliable. He married me for financial security and switched to Madison for her beauty. A man like that wouldn't be dependable in a crisis.
What do you mean you don't know? You're so cold. Why am I the only one suffering like this?
Madison crumbled in despair, and I just watched from above. We eventually managed to get her to leave, but I was far from relieved. Then an unexpected situation arose.
Look, I'm going to destroy all our family memories.
Late at night, Madison called, and I accidentally answered while half asleep. It switched to a video call, and what I saw made my brain nearly explode.
What? The house?
Our family home was on fire. The fire was still small, confined to potted plants at the entrance, but the strong wind was fanning the flames. Michael's face appeared on the screen.
That's scary. Did you fall asleep with a cigarette or something?
Oh, wait, you wouldn't sleep at the entrance.
Actually, this was my brilliant idea.
Hey, Emily, want the fire put out? Michael was never dependable. My judgment of him was apparently correct.
I'll put it out right away.
So, about the money.
You won't be getting married anyway, so just hand over your share of the $60,000 to us, right?
I'm not giving you the money.
Oh, don't care what happens to your dad in the house?
Such a heartless daughter. You're mistaken about something. Nobody lives in that house.
What?
Unfortunately for them, Dad is right here with me. Looking at the video call screen.
Why not?
Because Dad moved in with me.
We thought you might bother us, but we never expected you to do something this dangerous.
It was a good decision to move.
Lies! Someone's living there!
What? That can't be. As we spoke, the fire grew stronger. Suddenly, the front door opened.
Mom?
It was my mother who emerged from the house. Apparently having been asleep inside when the smoke crept in.
Give me back my money!
Instead of a heartwarming reunion, Madison immediately attacked Mom. Mom, still groggy from sleep, stumbled and fell back.
Don't run away! I finally found you! Give me back my money!
Madison tried to grab Mom, who lost her balance and fell into the burning potted plants.
Hot! Help!
Mom's face was already reddened and her hair singed, even though she escaped the small fire quickly.
It hurts! It's hot!
As Mom cried and rolled on the ground, Madison and Michael made no move to help. In fact, a faint smile played on Madison's face. Then, fire trucks and police cars arrived. And Madison and Michael finally panicked. They were arrested on the spot for arson, still not grasping the gravity of their actions. Their intention was probably just a minor threat to extort money from Dad and me. The triviality of their malice was chilling. Although the damage was minimal, Madison and Michael received actual prison sentences. We just wanted some money. In their cold cells, that's what they were said to have muttered. Madison gave birth in confinement and had no choice but to relinquish her child. The child would undoubtedly be better off in foster care or with adoptive parents than being raised by Madison. Additionally, my mother suffered severe facial burns. Apparently, she had been sneaking into the house frequently, stealing valuables without Dad's knowledge. After learning that Dad had moved out but hadn't sold the house, she decided to live there. My mother, once beautiful like Madison, lost her beauty easily. But I feel no sympathy. She betrayed and discarded not just me but Madison as well. How could I feel sorry for such a person?
Your house caused my burns. Take responsibility.
My mother irrationally blamed my father.
It's your fault for living in someone else's house without permission. That's trespassing and theft, isn't it? How dare you? Look at what happened to my face. That's irrelevant to your crimes. You will be held accountable.
My father was unyielding. Mother's once beautiful face, now distorted and marred, contorted further as she wept bitterly. Even though she had aged gracefully, relying on men for her livelihood was no longer an option. The burned house suffered only minor damage to the entrance. Though still habitable, we decided to let it go. My father took early retirement and bought a small house near the beach. Being single and able to work remotely, I decided to join him.
Ah, this is perfect. So relaxing.
The large windows of our house offer a view of the sea, especially beautiful at sunset. I used to enjoy the conveniences of city life, but now I'm fond of the laid-back lifestyle in the countryside. Looking outside, I saw a squirrel darting by. The area, rich in nature, is frequented by squirrels, raccoons, and occasionally rabbits. I thought moving to a less populated rural area might mean fewer human encounters, but I frequently met wildlife instead.
You took a long shower. Get ready, he'll be here soon.
And it wasn't just wildlife I encountered. I also met a wonderful man. We planned to work together in the garden. He might not be someone Madison would envy, but I like his simple, unpretentious nature. After gardening, my father, smiling, was selecting a bottle of wine for us to enjoy together.
Hey, Emily. Will you be showing me your wedding dress soon? Oh, maybe. I'm looking forward to it. You'll look beautiful in white. You're exceptionally pretty, you know.
Lately, my father has been making doting comments frequently. Thanks to this, the curse of believing I was unattractive is finally starting to lift. Secretly, I also yearned for a beautiful wedding dress.
Stop it, Dad. Have you been drinking already?
I felt my face warm slightly. My father chuckled mischievously. Our life was simple yet filled with happiness. My name is Hannah. I've been married for 2 years, but we haven't had any babies. My husband, a surgeon at a general hospital, consoled me, suggesting it might be a matter of timing or stress. I thought I was incredibly lucky to have such a kind man as my husband. However, I was abruptly disabused of this notion. Shockingly, I discovered that my husband was having an affair with my sister, Anna. Anna is pregnant, so we need to break up.
Anna. My sister?
Yeah. He said casually. Without any sign of remorse. And without a word of apology to me.
Why?
Because you can't have kids. A woman who can't have children is defective.
But I thought it was about timing.
Anna got pregnant right away. That means you and I are not compatible. There's no point in trying with a woman who's not compatible. Without room for argument, he had me agree divorce. 3 years later, here I am, unexpectedly facing my ex-husband Sam at a spa resort. It's not like I wanted to meet him. But as if by a twist of fate, Sam showed up with Anna. Hey, long time no see. I was visibly nervous and sweating. I hadn't seen Sam or Anna since then. I had been careful to visit my parents only when I knew my sister and her husband weren't there. Despite my efforts to keep my distance, here they were. So, you're here too? Funny how you run into people you don't want to see. I stayed silent. Though I had so much I wanted to say. I never forgot the betrayal. But when it came down to it, I couldn't find the words. Aren't you still unmarried? I heard from Mom. Still hung up on Sam? That's creepy. Pining over someone else's husband. Yeah, it's really creepy to be obsessed with someone for so long. Sam joined in, laughing. Anna's belly was noticeably pregnant. Baby? Yeah, I'm pregnant. Something you'll never experience. What about the baby you mentioned before? That one, unfortunately, miscarried. Would have been beautiful, too, like us. Definitely, if it looked like me or Anna. If it were your child, as long as it didn't look like Sam, it would definitely be ugly. Her face is a created beauty. It was altered by numerous cosmetic surgeries since high school, and was artificially beautiful. I can't tell you how many times she's done this before, and the face looks like a different person, and it certainly has changed beautifully. Sam, also handsome, confidently asserted that their child would undoubtedly be beautiful. Divorcing you was definitely the right decision. A beautiful child, a doctor husband. I got everything I wanted. But isn't a doctor's salary not that high? The doctors I know earn quite a lot. Shut up. I can't help it. I'm an employee at a general hospital, and it's a salaried position. Still better than factory work. Soon he'll start his own practice and make a lot more. Don't come asking us for help then. I wondered why they brought up factory work, because I'm a factory office worker. Even when we were married, Sam often belittled my job. Now, knowing the reality, I started to doubt whether Sam was really a doctor. You'll never remarry a doctor, or anyone, for that matter. Ugly as you are. Rather than marrying a doctor, I'm pretty sure she won't be able to remarry at all. Oh, that's right. No matter how much you want to get rich, it means you can't do it. Right. As ugly as you are, you're unlikely to remarry. I have a child and a doctor husband. I'm so happy. Funny how life turns out so differently for sisters. Is that so? You think you'll be happy? Traveling alone to a resort. Not even with a man. Well, it can't be helped. You're only good for a fling. Don't go hanging yourself. Having such an ugly sister is the worst. I'd be lucky if you just went to the other world. Are you serious? Of course. Better off without a sister who's hung up on someone else's husband. You're the worst. You're the worst. I'm also relieved to have broken up with an ugly person like you, but now that you've become my sister-in-law, I'm wondering why I can't cut ties with you. They kept mocking my appearance, laughing heartily. Then, a tall man stood beside me. What's going on? Hey. What's this? She's really with some random guy? Even if you're desperate, picking a guy like this old man, you could have chosen better, Hannah. Just because he looks rich doesn't mean you should give in so easily. And you, how can you even play around with such an ugly girl? Who are these people? This is my ex-husband and now brother-in-law, Sam. And that's my sister, Anna. What? Introducing your fling to us? You're probably just playing with this guy, too. It doesn't matter who we are to him. I'm her fiancé, Jason Smith. What? Fiancé? No way, with this old man? Even if you're desperate, marrying this old guy? He's probably just pretending to be rich, a low-income guy. Sam and Anna ridiculed my fiancé, Jason Smith, calling him an old man. But he's only 40 years old. Anna, do you really think you can marry someone like this? You must have settled because no one else would have you. So these are the two who betrayed someone as beautiful as you. Foolish. Who are you calling foolish? Are you blind? Do you even know who I am? Huh? Huh? What do you mean who you are? You're more foolish for being with someone ugly like Hannah. You're a doctor, right? Yes, I am. I work at a general hospital. That would be Smith General Hospital, right? Exactly. What department? I'm a surgeon. Lots of patients want me to operate on them. It was hard even to get today off. Impressive. Your name is Sam, right? Yes, that's right. What about it? Well, it's just that there's no Dr. Sam in the surgery department at our hospital. We do have a male nurse named Sam, though. What? Who do you think you are? Actually, my fiancé, Jason Smith, is the director of the hospital where Sam works. If Sam were truly a doctor at that hospital, he would know Jason by name. However, Sam didn't recognize the name and didn't seem to understand from his behavior. You wouldn't understand, would you? Just a lowly factory worker. How would you know the doctors at Smith General Hospital? Or have you been admitted to surgery before? Admitted? It's troubling that you don't recognize my name. We might have to rethink having staff like you. Wait a minute. How dare this lowly factory worker speak to a doctor like Sam? Stop insulting my husband. I'm not trying to insult him. I'm just stating what I think. Anna, you've been acting all high and mighty, but you're just a fool for wanting to marry someone like Hannah. How can you be with such an ugly girl? You should be with someone as beautiful as me. You'll regret it. Don't be ridiculous. A low-income old man like you could never get a beauty like her. I see. But your husband chose to marry her, didn't he? Why did he choose Hannah?
That's obvious. It was just a fling. But he realized I was better.
I see. So he prefers someone whose face and heart are both ugly.
What did you say?
Oops, I just spoke my mind. My apologies. He laughed, covering his mouth with his fist, but Anna and Sam were furious.
Don't joke. Are you mocking my wife?
You've been mocking my girlfriend nonstop. If you say something, expect a response.
What a guy.
Well, if you make fun of me for wanting to marry Hannah, you're making fun of your own husband. Do you realize that?
That's why I'm telling you. Choosing such a woman was a matter of youthful inclination. Sam is smart enough to become a doctor, so he immediately realized it was a mistake.
I see. That's a great excuse.
Really? You're seriously marrying this man, Hannah?
Yes, he's a wonderful man.
You must be as stupid as you look. What's good about a man who insults others? No money and a bad personality.
Don't get too cocky. If Hannah marries me, we'll be your brother-in-law and sister-in-law. It'll make things awkward for you. True. But I don't mind.
What?
Anna, unable to control her anger, continued to insult him. It was sounding like a child scolding an adult. But I decided to change the topic to the upcoming baby. Anna is having a baby. Congratulations. Hope the baby grows up well. Yes, really. What about the first child? She miscarried. That's sad. A lost life is always tragic. It must have been hard for Anna. What? No, it wasn't.
Huh?
It was a weak life to begin with. No point in mourning something that wasn't meant to be. The future's what matters. I see, a unique perspective.
Oh no!
I can have as many children as I want, unlike you, Hannah. Losing one or two doesn't bother me at all.
You're taking life lightly.
Even if you marry this guy, Hannah, you can't expect to have children. No matter how much you want them, you can't have them. That must be it. That's just speculation. At your age, you probably have issues too. Good thing, you won't be the only one blamed. Children aren't the only bond in a marriage. That's easy to say now. Once you're married, you'll want kids. Look at me, I'm pregnant again. Can't wait to see what kind of child I'll have. Yeah, I wonder what kind of child it will be. With all that surgery, the baby won't look like you, Anna.
What? What are you talking about? Of course, the baby will look like me. Even if not, if it looks like Sam, it'll definitely be good-looking.
I doubt that. With all that surgery, neither of you will have a good-looking child.
How dare you? I haven't had any surgery. What makes you think that? You're not even a doctor.
No, Anna, you've had surgery. Your eyes, nose, and even your mouth are smaller. You've changed your jawline a lot too. Why change so much that you lose your original face?
Anna, you've had surgery? No. I haven't had any surgery. I married you because you were beautiful. If you've had surgery, does that mean our child will be ugly? I haven't had any surgery. Why believe this guy? He's not a doctor. You're not lying to me, are you? Of course not.
Anna was frantic, desperately denying it. But what was she planning to do?
If this is a lie, I won't forgive you. Don't worry. I haven't had any surgery. If the child turns out ugly, it's because it looks like Hannah. Oh. Right.
That's right. It doesn't have to look like just us. Anna pointed at me, and Sam seemed convinced. I thought it was foolish, but they were both so obsessed with beauty. Jason's bombshell didn't stop there.
Sam, you've had quite a bit of surgery yourself. What?
Yep, you've had as much surgery as Anna. Impressive.
What are you talking about? Where have I had surgery?
Well, your eyes, nose, and you've sharpened your jawline. You've changed so much you can't recognize your original form.
That's impossible.
I was shocked. I had never heard that Sam had surgery.
Sam, you've had surgery? What did you look like before? That's not true. I haven't had any surgery. Why believe this guy? He's not a doctor. But
Anna stopped, apparently thinking that if Jason had guessed her surgery correctly, he must be right about Sam too. No matter how much you change your face, you can't change your personality. People who focus only on looks end up losing what's truly important. That's why they let go of someone as cute as Hannah. But for those who don't understand true beauty, they're a perfect match.
Don't act like you know everything. How could you possibly know we've had surgery? You're just guessing. That's right. You can't know. Unless you're a plastic surgeon, you can't tell.
That's correct. A non-doctor wouldn't know. But you can't fool my eyes.
What? How can you say you can't be fooled? You must be very confident. Or are you saying you're a doctor?
Exactly. I am a doctor, a plastic surgery specialist.
What?
If I'm a plastic surgeon, I can tell by looking at your faces that you've had surgery.
No way. You're kidding.
Are you two doing maintenance? It's starting to fall apart. That's concerning.
Lies.
Well, maintenance costs money. For both of you, it must be tough.
You said you hadn't had surgery. You've been deceiving me?
Can't wait to see the child. If it looks like Anna, it'll be as cute as Hannah. But if it looks like Sam, I wonder.
That's why I chose someone beautiful. You two had surgery. That's the same for me. I wanted a beautiful child.
As you are now, your faces will keep deteriorating. Maintenance is necessary, but at Smith General Hospital's plastic surgery department, we do maintenance. I can do it for you, but I won't give you a family discount.
We don't want anything to do with you. I never wanted you as a brother-in-law. That's right. Just because we're married, I don't consider you a brother-in-law.
That's right. Then there's no need for me to hold back. Good, you're fired.
What? What are you talking about? How can you say that? Are you crazy? I'll admit you're a doctor, but you don't have the right to fire me.
Really? Even if I'm Jason Smith, the director of Smith General Hospital, you think I don't have that right?
What?
Surprised, huh? I mentioned my name earlier.
Name? I'm sure, Jason Smith.
Jason Smith, that's right.
Jason Smith is.
Can't believe you don't know the name of the director of the hospital where you work. Are you that foolish? Nurse Sam.
Huh? What? What? Nurse? You're a nurse? No.
You're not a surgeon, but an internist, right? I've heard about you. A heartless nurse. That's certainly true. Your attitude towards patients is terrible. This conversation made it all clear.
So that's why your salary was so low.
Salary? Yes, for a doctor, you made surprisingly little. You used to say it's still better than factory work. Sure, that's true. Better than working in a factory, especially since you don't do night or late shifts. But it's true, the salary is much lower than a doctor's.
That's why you earn so little? You always told me you were a doctor. Just a hired worker, so it's natural to earn that much. You said that. Lies about surgery and being a doctor. Now everything falls apart. What could I do? You said you wouldn't marry me if I wasn't a doctor. I had no choice but to pretend. Are you blaming me? Yes, because you're always showing off. You're the one showing off. Thanks to you, Hannah, with that face, is marrying a doctor? And I'm becoming poorer than her.
Amazing how twisted your personality is. I kept quiet thinking we'd become in-laws, but now I don't want to be related. Hannah, I'm sorry, but I can't associate with these people after we're married. Is that okay? Of course. I don't want anything to do with them either. Great. So, I have no hesitation in firing you.
Please, director. Don't fire me.
Why now? You've been mocking my partner. It's only natural to be fired. I tolerated you because I thought you were her relative. But now, you've said you don't want any relationship.
I didn't know you were the director.
I told you from the start. Didn't you understand who I am?
I never imagined the director.
How could you work without knowing that?
But firing me, that's harsh. Working at a general hospital is a big deal. Yes. Please, at least let me stay working there.
What do you mean?
Being a doctor at a general hospital is highly regarded by other moms.
How foolish. It's the same wherever you work. Even if it's factory work, you're contributing to society.
That's not true. Factory work won't get me praise from others. What will I do when my child is born? Being a doctor matters among other moms.
That's worthless. Better fix your personality and face first. That is if you have the money.
Money. Yes. Money. I need money.
You're always about money. She's not poor, you know.
That's because she's marrying the director of Smith General Hospital. She's not poor.
No. It's not about money. It's about her heart. She cares for others, understands their perspective. That's what brings wealth.
That's not true. Ugly people don't attract rich people.
That's why you attracted a fake rich man like Sam. But I'm attracted to Hannah's heart. Her heart makes her face shine. I'd spend a fortune on her, but I wouldn't spend a cent on you, Sam.
Okay. Please, don't fire me. Hannah, ask him too. If I'm fired, I'll be an unemployed brother-in-law. How embarrassing.
No. I don't care about you. You said I'm still hung up on you. That's not true at all.
Exactly, Hannah. Well said.
Thank you.
Lies. That can't be. My face is loved by everyone.
Let's go. As Jason led me away, I could hear them arguing.
It's all your fault. You tricked me with your lies and surgery. You're ugly. And you're ugly too.
I thought how foolish they were and was grateful to have found my true love. Our trip to the spa was blissful, but hell awaited my sister and her husband upon return. The reason was that Sam was indeed fired, just as Jason had stated. Despite Sam's tearful pleas for mercy, Jason had him ousted from the hospital. Angry at Sam for lying about being a doctor and undergoing plastic surgery, Anna, who had become jobless that very day, asked him divorce. She returned to our parents' house, but after being scolded and called foolish by our parents, she stormed out in anger. Anna, choosing the path of a single mother, secretly gave birth. However, after the birth, she needed money desperately. Since the baby was Sam's, she demanded for child support. Despite Sam's initial resistance, Anna led to a promise to pay child support. However, Sam struggled to make payments, leaving him no money for facial maintenance. As his only source of confidence, his face deteriorated. Sam, unable to bear his disfigured appearance, lost the will to work. Reportedly, he now lives in a shabby apartment, surrounded by garbage, hugging his knees. Meanwhile, Anna, unable to afford facial maintenance due to child rearing, works night shifts in building cleaning, wearing a large mask as she dislikes jobs involving social interactions. On the other hand, I married Jason in a grand wedding, celebrated by the hospital staff, and am now thoroughly enjoying happiness. Adding to my joy, I am currently 7 months pregnant. Eagerly awaiting the arrival of our baby, living a fulfilling life. Our baby's been born. Come see with a congratulatory gift. As always, Lily's remarks are so tactless it's infuriating. She probably hasn't reflected on taking my fiancé away from me at all. In fact, she seems to be enjoying my reaction. When I stay silent, Lily laughs and says, "Why so quiet? Are you jealous, by any chance? Still holding on to Simon's memory?" Certainly, Lily looks down on me and just wants to assert her dominance. But unfortunately for her, I won't let things go the way Lily wants. "Sure, I'll visit you with my husband." I respond with a deliberately cheerful tone. "Huh?" Seeing Lily's dumbfounded expression, I can't help but smirk. I'm Kelly, turning 45 this year. My life hasn't been all smooth sailing. There was someone I loved and dated for a long time. His name was Simon, and we had worked at the same company. Initially, I had no romantic feelings for Simon. The reason? Simon wasn't particularly good-looking. If I were to rate his looks, he'd be somewhere below average. So, he deviated significantly from my preferences. The turning point in our relationship came during a company party. The company I worked for had a party for team building. And there was one boss who, when he drank, became incredibly troublesome.
Kelly, are you really drinking?
Normally, he was a composed person. He gave off the impression of a kind and settled boss in his 50s. When he got drunk, he'd start talking too much. That wasn't the only thing. When he was drunk, he'd excessively pester people. And he'd strongly urge people to drink more. Since it only happened while he was drunk, no one could really confront him about it. "Definitely," I replied calmly, but the boss didn't back down. "You don't need to be shy. Have more." Saying that, he tried to pour a large bottle of beer for me. I couldn't possibly keep up with such a high pace of drinking. I was puzzled about how to escape the situation when Simon said, "You're drinking too much. I'll be with you." Simon said that and took the boss away from me. He saved me. I genuinely thanked Simon at that moment. And when the drinking party ended and we were about to disband, Simon called out to me when I was about to leave alone. "Are you all right earlier? The boss always gets like that when he's drunk. The best way is to handle it well." Simon furrowed his brows and expressed concern for me. "Thank you. If you weren't there, I don't know what would have happened." I conveyed my sincere gratitude to Simon. Being a newcomer at the company, I couldn't speak up to my boss. That's why Simon's kindness meant so much to me. Then, Simon confessed, "Actually, I've been a little interested in you, Kelly, for a while now. If you're okay with it, would you go out with me?" I was surprised and looked at Simon. His face was slightly red. Simon was my savior. Besides, I didn't have a boyfriend at the time, so I gave an immediate reply. "Yes. I'd love to go out with you." With my affirmative answer, Simon's face lit up. "Thank you. I'll make you happy from now on," he said, holding me tight. I think this moment was the peak of my happiness. At that time, I didn't know anything about what was to come with Simon. And after dating for 3 years, Simon proposed to me the other day. "Will you marry me? I want to marry you too." I immediately gave my enthusiastic answer. And I made a request to Simon. "I want you to meet my best friend at least once. Her name is Lily, and we promised to introduce each other." Since elementary school, I've had a best friend named Lily. Lily was incredibly cute and very popular with the boys because of her looks. Lily was skilled at using puppy dog eyes and had a touch of artifice. In elementary school, we had regular duties, and it was our responsibility to do it for the classroom. But Lily didn't seem to want to do it and would tearfully ask the boys, "I'm feeling a little under the weather. Could you do it for me?" Of course, the boys she asked readily agreed. As a result, Lily hardly ever had to do the duty herself. In exchange, she was quite disliked by the girls. Backbiting was common, and it seemed like she was being avoided. I had a straightforward personality back then and played around with the boys outside. So, I didn't care about what others thought and became friends with Lily. Both of us stood out from the other girls in our class, and we were left with each other. After that, Lily and I developed a somewhat complicated relationship, and we've kept in touch ever since. Let's continue being good friends forever.
Yeah.
Saying that, we often laughed together. Lily and I had made a promise. The promise was to introduce the person we decided to marry to each other. Lily said, "We've been such good friends for so long. Let's marry the ones we approve of, and that's why we made this promise." Somehow, I liked Lily. She didn't engage in typical girls' flattery, which made me feel at ease. I believed that Lily felt the same way. So, I wanted to introduce Simon to Lily. When I explained the situation to Simon, he said, "Of course. She's your best friend, right? I'd like to greet her properly too," and he smiled.
Really? Great. I'll contact Lily right away.
At that time, I honestly didn't think much beyond fulfilling my promise with Lily. So, I never imagined the outcome that was about to unfold. On the day we had agreed upon, Simon and I waited for Lily at the cafe where we were supposed to meet. And right on time, Lily arrived. "Sorry for keeping you waiting. Is this the Simon that Kelly was talking about?" Lily appeared with her hair beautifully curled in an elegant style, and she immediately asked me about Simon. For some reason, her eyes were sparkling.
That's right. He's the person I'm getting engaged to. Isn't he wonderful?
I introduced Simon with a smile. Simon also smiled at Lily. "Nice to meet you. I'm Simon." Simon greeted Lily in a kind tone. And Lily replied to him with a smile. "I'm Lily. It's so nice to meet you, the wonderful person who's going to be Kelly's fiancé. As Kelly's best friend, I'm truly delighted." Lily said that, blushing. And she celebrated our engagement.
Congratulations! I'm really happy that Kelly is going to be happy, too.
Lily. I was genuinely moved by Lily's joy for my happiness. After that, we continued our cheerful conversation over coffee. "By the way, Kelly, you're marrying such an amazing person. I'm really envious," Lily said with a smile as she talked to me. I felt genuinely pleased by Lily's words. Then, Simon looked puzzled and asked, "Lily, do you have a boyfriend?" Certainly, Lily is cute in appearance. Normally, she would have already been married with children by now. But Lily smiles with a hint of loneliness. "I don't have much luck with men." Lily's demeanor was quite endearing, arousing protective instincts. A regular guy would typically take some action at this point. "Lily, you're so cute that I'm sure you'll find a wonderful person soon." I encouraged Lily in that way. Then, Simon spoke up.
"If it were me, I'd definitely cherish someone as cute as Lily. Maybe your luck has just been bad so far."
Upon hearing that, Lily smiled with delight. "Thank you both. I hope I can find a fiancé as wonderful as Simon." And she said that. We continued to enjoy our conversation as the three of us, and it was some time before it was time to leave. As we were leaving, Lily said to Simon, "Simon, can I have your contact information? If you want, I can share some special information about Kelly," with a mischievous grin in her voice. "Come on, Lily. Don't say weird things to Simon." I jokingly scolded Lily. Lily started laughing as if it were funny.
"I'm just kidding. I want your contact info for wedding planning. I want to be a bridesmaid as Kelly's best friend."
Lily said that, winking at me. Lily. I was sincerely moved by the fact that Lily was thinking about the wedding. So, Simon and Lily exchanged contact information.
"Well, I'll contact you again."
Lily said goodbye with a smile and left. After Lily had completely disappeared from view, Simon muttered, "Lily, she's a nice girl." Simon looked in the direction Lily had left. "Yes," I replied to him. At that time, I had no idea that this would be the beginning of a tragedy. Some time later. Lately, Simon has been slow to reply to my messages. I complained to myself while looking at my smartphone today. It was Sunday, and I had planned to go shopping by myself. It took me 30 minutes by train. I had actually wanted to go out with Simon. But unfortunately, he had turned me down.
Sorry. I have to work today too. It's a holiday overtime shift.
I received a message like this from Simon the day before yesterday. Lately, it has become difficult to contact Simon. And even when I asked him out on dates, he increasingly declined, citing work as the reason. I had already changed jobs a year ago, so I knew roughly when the busy season was at my previous company. Right now, it shouldn't be the busy season. Besides, there were colleagues from my previous company that I still frequently kept in touch with, but I had never heard that Simon was exceptionally busy.
I miss Simon.
I muttered like that, and my gaze happened to land on the terrace seats of a nearby cafe.
Huh!
There, I witnessed an unbelievable scene.
Why are Simon and Lily together?
Right before my eyes, Simon and Lily were sitting together at a terrace table, laughing and chatting. There might be some mistake. I quietly approached the two of them. Then, I overheard a conversation I didn't want to hear between the two. I really don't have anyone but you. You're so much cuter than Kelly. I really love you. Simon said that, smiling at Lily with affection, tightly holding her hand. Lily, not seeming to mind, replied, I'm way cuter than Kelly. I can understand why you'd switch from her. I couldn't believe the conversation unfolding between the two of them. They were supposed to be my beloved fiancé and my best friend. But now, they were speaking ill of me and enjoying it. I couldn't help but speak up to them.
Simon, Lily. What on earth is going on?
I think my face turned pale. And it seemed like the two of them hadn't even considered that I would be there.
What? Kelly? Why are you here?
Simon seemed flustered. Lily, on the other hand, remained composed and unapologetic. In fact, she was grinning and showed no signs of remorse. Oh dear, we got caught, she said, laughing. Lily's attitude made me tremble with unease.
I thought of you as my best friend, Lily.
We had been friends since elementary school. So, I had trusted Lily. I couldn't help but feel like crying, and my eyes welled up with tears. However, Lily, far from being concerned, just snorted in derision at me.
Lily!
I was stunned by the transformation in my best friend. Then, Lily spoke with a smile.
Best friend? There's no way I'd be friends with someone like you. You were just a stepping stone for me. Besides, Simon is mine now, you know?
Saying that, Lily wrapped her hand around Simon's arm. I was infuriated by Lily's attitude.
Why? You were happy about Simon and me getting engaged, right?
I pleaded with Lily desperately. Maybe I wanted to believe that there was still some conscience left in her. But Lily didn't seem to care at all.
I would never genuinely be happy about your wedding. You decided to get married before cute little me.
It's so irritating, isn't it? I felt my strength drain away, and I collapsed to my knees on the spot. Simon tried to run to me for a moment, but Lily stopped him. Then she wore a triumphant expression.
Anyway, Simon is mine now. You can crawl on the ground like a loser, okay? Bye.
Saying that, Lily forcibly dragged Simon away from the scene. With no strength left, I was left alone. 3 years have passed since that terrible incident. At first, I was emotionally devastated by my breakup with Simon, but recently, I've been slowly regaining my smile. Of course, in the beginning, I cried endlessly. I hadn't talked to anyone about the broken engagement except for Lily. That's why I couldn't tell anyone and cried alone. In the end, they didn't apologize to me or anything. Since we had only been engaged and hadn't progressed any further. I didn't want to have anything to do with Simon and Lily anymore. So, I blocked their numbers and made sure I wouldn't receive any more messages from them. Since then, I've been able to live peaceful days. Little by little, I was able to heal the scars from my broken heart with Simon. Over the past 3 years, my surroundings have changed quite a bit. But it's during such times that another incident occurs. One day, my smartphone rang. When I checked the phone number, it was an unknown one. I found it strange, but I answered the call. Hello? The caller on the other end turned out to be someone I didn't want to hear from. Oh, you finally picked up. It's Lily. Long time no see.
Why, Lily? I blocked your number.
I muttered, turning pale. Lily responded with an indifferent attitude. Since you blocked my calls, I had to change my number, you know? Don't want to trouble me. Lily said that and chuckled. Clearly, Lily felt no remorse whatsoever. Talking to Lily would only bring back unpleasant memories. So I decided to get to the point and end the call.
So, what's the matter?
I asked in a cold tone, and Lily responded with excitement. I had a baby. Come see us with a congratulatory gift. Lily's words were as insensitive as ever. She probably hadn't reflected on taking away my fiancé at all. Instead, she seemed to enjoy my reaction. I could imagine her secretly gloating over the shock I must have felt. As I remained silent, Lily laughed and said, "Why so quiet? Are you jealous? Still hung up on Simon?" Lily continued to look down on me and seemed to want to assert her superiority. But she was out of luck. I wouldn't let things go as Lily wished. "Sure, I'll bring my CEO husband," I replied in a deliberately cheerful tone. Huh? Lily was taken aback, and I couldn't help but smile. After a moment, Lily seemed to recover and began to mock me. "Kelly, have you gone crazy? A plain girl like you can't possibly marry the CEO." Lily used foul language and insulted me. She must have convinced herself that my statement was a lie. So, I deliberately smiled with confidence. "Well, you'll see when you meet him, won't you?" Lily then said, "Anyway, I think you're lying about getting married in the first place. If you come to my place alone, I'll just laugh loudly at you." Saying that, she laughed. I calmly asked for Lily's address and then hung up the phone. Lily's attitude on the phone was unforgivable. It was too terrible, and she looked down on me too much. Thinking back to the events from 3 years ago only fueled my anger. I would make sure she regretted calling me. I vowed to take revenge on Lily, firmly in my heart. "What's wrong? Is something the matter?" There, my husband Joshua spoke to me. Joshua was the same age as me, with a clearly defined face. He had a face that other women wouldn't ignore. He had a well-toned body, my ideal husband. The reason I could marry someone like Joshua was because we met at my new job. I have worked as a secretary at my new job. Having various knowledge happened to come in handy. My previous experience working for a major company was also valued. My work involved various tasks, including managing the CEO's schedule and accompanying him to business meetings. At first, I struggled because I couldn't match names to faces among our business partners. I made mistakes in arranging dinner reservations and was severely scolded. But I managed to get through it all, thanks to Joshua. While scolding me when I made mistakes, Joshua would also point out areas for improvement. He never berated me unfairly, and his dependable support was there to cover for my mistakes. He even helped me remember our business partners by looking at business cards together after work. With his support, I managed to keep working as a secretary. During that time, Joshua suddenly proposed to me.
"It's sudden, but will you marry me?"
We were what they call a zero-day dating couple. According to Joshua, he fell for me because I tried so hard to keep up with his pace. I thought that being with Joshua would help me grow in many ways. Just being by Joshua's side made work enjoyable for me. So, I gladly accepted Joshua's proposal and got married. I told Joshua about the call from Lily. Lily said she had a baby and wants me to visit with a congratulatory gift. I explained the situation to Joshua. He knew about the incident 3 years ago when Lily took Simon from me. I had told him when our marriage was decided. At first, I thought I couldn't marry Joshua while still carrying a torch for Simon. In the end, Joshua said it was okay, so I happily accepted his proposal. That's why Joshua frowned at Lily's insensitive remarks.
That woman is truly tactless. She stole my fiancé and yet acts like that? She's underestimating you too much.
Joshua said, even angrier than I was. Joshua's kindness touched me. I had a request for Joshua.
Joshua, would you mind going to Lily's place with me? I don't want to leave it like this with Lily. Having you there would be a great support for me.
When I made the request, Joshua smiled.
Of course, I'll go with you. I want to stand up to those who have hurt you. Besides, Kelly's former best friend is too malicious. We should set things straight here. Joshua.
I was moved by Joshua's kindness. Joshua gently placed his hand on my head and said,
Let's show them how happy we are together. Let them see that you're much happier than that woman.
That's right. I'm much happier now. Way happier than Lily. I said with a natural smile.
Yeah. That's the spirit. Kelly looks cuter when she's confident.
Joshua laughed heartily. And so, we decided to go to Lily and Simon's place together. On the day we were supposed to visit Lily and Simon, I pressed the intercom button at the entrance alone. Originally, Joshua was supposed to show up with me. But he received an urgent call from work and had to come later. However, he was nearby. So I didn't feel alone. As soon as I knocked at the door, Lily appeared and, upon seeing me alone, she smiled with delight.
So, you're alone after all. You're not very good at hiding your lies.
Lily said this and burst into laughter.
My husband will be here later, so here's this for now.
I handed her a paper bag.
Thank you. You're quite the diligent one, huh? Even after I stole your fiancé.
Lily said with a wicked laugh.
I just have a lot of stuff to give away at home. I just brought something random.
I replied calmly.
Giveaways, huh? Did you have that many friends? You probably bought it, didn't you? Well, you're single, so you must have money.
Lily said, making a baseless assumption. She still seemed to think of me as single. And she was probably more convinced now that I was alone. Lily opened the bag and excitedly exclaimed, "It's a gift card. Since it's mine, don't expect me to return it. What should I choose?" I watched Lily with a cold gaze. Then, Simon, holding the baby, came out from inside.
"Kelly. Long time no see,"
Simon said, looking slightly awkward.
"Congratulations on your child's birth."
I greeted Simon politely without making eye contact.
"Oh, thank you,"
Simon replied without looking at me. Lily, observing our interaction, confidently said,
"Could it be that you still have feelings for Simon? It's been 3 years, you know? Stop clinging to my husband."
Lily had a triumphant look on her face.
"No, that's not the case,"
I immediately denied. But Lily mocked, "Oh dear, you don't have to pretend to be strong."
"Hey, Lily, stop."
Seeing Simon's discomfort, Joshua tried to intervene, but Lily wouldn't stop.
"By the way, what's a CEO's husband?"
"A plain girl like you."
"Not to mention a CEO, you wouldn't even attract any man." "Well, maybe an 80-year-old grandpa for caregiving?"
Lily said and laughed. It was clear that Lily had a strong dislike for me. I asked her something I had been curious about for a while.
"Why did you steal Simon in the first place? He's completely different from your usual type, isn't he?"
Lily should have had a similar taste to me. Lily casually replied,
"Well, he's not my type in terms of looks. Maybe it's because of his money? He's from a big company, after all. And I find it fun to take things from others. Especially when the person is as plain as you."
Lily said this and chuckled.
"Huh? What do you mean?"
Simon was clearly shaken. Well, that made sense. Simon probably thought Lily loved him. Lily was very good at giving that impression. Ignoring Simon, I turned to Lily.
"I'm grateful to you for taking Simon away. After all, I was able to marry a wonderful person."
I said with a smile, trying to hide my true feelings. Lily had a smirk on her face. Marriage is just an act, isn't it? You really made a fool of yourself. Aren't you embarrassed? Lily was oozing confidence. I wanted to expose Lily's true colors. While I was contemplating my response, a voice from behind, belonging to someone who had been eagerly waiting, interrupted us. Joshua. You're late. Sorry. The CEO from our client company was talking for so long. I made it on time, so forgive me. Joshua apologized with a hint of regret. As we were having this conversation, Lily, trembling visibly, approached me.
Kelly, what's your relationship with this handsome guy?
She probably had an idea of the answer, but didn't want to believe it. Lily was visibly shaken. Simon, wearing a puzzled expression, was looking at me and Joshua. So, I smiled and answered. This is my husband, Joshua. Handsome, isn't he?
What?
Joshua stepped forward and introduced himself, saying, I apologize for being late. I was on a call with a client. I'm Joshua, the CEO of Future Corporation. Nice to meet you. Joshua handed his business card to Lily and Simon, who started to react with excitement.
Future Corporation, the recently listed company, right? Trading cards and expanding your stores. Wait a minute, this guy. I think I've seen his face on a video streaming site. Could he be a famous personality?
Then Joshua replied with a warm smile, Oh, you've heard of me? We have quite a few followers on our company's social media account, maybe around a few million? Lily was deeply shaken. In fact, Joshua was the president and CEO of Future Corporation. Over the past few years, the company has rapidly expanded its stores. Recently, trading card transactions have been doing well not only for gaming purposes but also for collecting. Joshua had recognized this potential early and expanded the business. Originally, Joshua loved trading cards. He had been collecting them since he was in elementary school. He had always wanted to turn his passion into a job, so he founded his own company. Of course, running a business was not easy. And Joshua had been working hard from a young age. That's why he didn't have time for romance. Thinking about all this, Lily muttered with a pale face.
Is this a lie? Why is the plain Kelly winning? A CEO's wife? That's impossible.
I sighed heavily. Lily. I don't think there's a competition in marriage, you know? I muttered half in exasperation, and Lily shouted in frustration. What? Just because you married the CEO, you think you've won? Why do you think I married Simon? It's because he has money, and I can make you unhappy. Otherwise, I wouldn't have chosen a mediocre guy like Simon. Lily laughed.
Lily!
Simon looked shocked. It might have been better if he didn't know the truth. Then Lily approached Joshua. I want to marry someone like Joshua. Joshua, wouldn't you prefer a beautiful person like me over Kelly? Want to switch now?
Lily!
Simon shouted, unable to control his anger. Lily chuckled, it's fine, right? If Kelly remarries Simon, everything will be back to normal. Lily rambled on with her absurd theories, and it became an incomprehensible conversation. Joshua smiled and said, I fell in love with both Kelly's face and her personality. I'd never go for someone with a terrible personality like you.
What? Why?
Lily protested. Lily was visibly upset, and Simon was bewildered. This situation couldn't continue. I spoke up. Lily, you have a baby now. You should be happy with Simon. It's better to cherish the child you have with him. Even after my words, Lily got agitated and blurted out, Huh? That child isn't Simon's. Simon's eyes widened.
Huh? What do you mean? If it's not mine, whose child is it?
I looked puzzled and asked Lily, who seemed to have realized her mistake immediately. She stammered, No, well. Simon, still holding the baby, confronted Lily, demanding an explanation. Lily and Simon's argument began. There was no point in staying here any longer. "Joshua, let's go," I said to Joshua. In the end, Simon and Lily got divorced. One of my former colleagues contacted me and shared it as a topic of conversation. It seems their divorce turned into quite a messy situation. It turns out that the child Lily gave birth to wasn't Simon's biological child, which was discovered shortly after the chaotic incident. When Simon pressed her for answers, it was revealed that Lily had been unfaithful. In fact, Simon wasn't Lily's type, and their marriage was driven by financial motives. Lily had lost interest in Simon long before she took him away from me. Afterward, Lily continued her affair-filled life once she married Simon. While she had managed to keep her infidelity hidden in the past, this time Simon had hired a private investigator, and they uncovered most of her past actions. As a result, they decided to divorce. Lily had been a homemaker, spending money on beauty and fashion, and had no savings. That's why she strongly resisted the divorce, but it was just too malicious. And she eventually gave in when she was told the alimony would be increased. Lily ended up being asked for alimony by Simon. The amount was reasonable, but for a jobless Lily, it was a tough sum. Their child would be raised by Lily's family. The child was not to blame for what happened. It was Lily's wrongdoing. I fervently hoped that the child would grow up strong. Lily's affair partner was someone without much money, and it seemed that this incident would drive him away from Lily. It appeared that Lily had been lavishing her affections on the handsome guy, but her affair partner didn't seem to have any real love for her. While Lily was certainly beautiful, she was already in her 40s. To secure a good future partner, she would need to work on more than just her appearance. She would need to refine her inner self. However, Lily seemed oblivious to this fact. She still believed she could attract others with her looks alone. As a result, she would likely decline on her own. The future for a jobless woman with debts was uncertain at best. I couldn't help but think she got what she deserved. On the other hand, Simon seemed to be in a shell-shocked state. The baby that had been born was not his own. It must have been an unimaginable ordeal for him. However, it was Simon who chose Lily. He brought this upon himself. After the divorce, Simon was reportedly in a terrible state. He couldn't focus on work due to the shock, and his job might be at risk if this continued. If he lost his job at a major company, his future would be bleak. I hoped he would reflect deeply on his past mistakes. Since then, Joshua and I have been working hard together. Today was the grand opening of a new store. And it was a significant milestone for us. In this regard, we put in a lot of effort and dedication. Joshua also seemed to be wearing a proud expression on his face. We had supported each other throughout our journey. When Joshua faced challenges as the CEO, I encouraged him with all my might. When I encountered difficulties in my secretary role, Joshua tirelessly worked on finding solutions, even sacrificing his sleep. Previously, my relationship with Simon had been one where I relied on him entirely. But now, things are different. I wanted to work hard to support Joshua. So, I called out to Joshua. "Joshua, the CEO of our client company is here."
Got it. I'll be right there.
Our relationship would remain the same. We would continue to lean on each other. That's what being a married couple meant to us. If you're gonna have your ovaries removed, that means no kids, right? I don't need you anymore, so how about we get a divorce? The paper that Michael, my husband, slammed down in front of me was, unbelievably, a divorce application.
Wait, what are you saying? Jokes like this are not okay, especially now.
Just a few days ago, I was rushed to the hospital with sudden abdominal pain. After tests, they found it could be ovarian cancer. I was admitted for surgery the next day. This isn't a joke. I've been putting up with everything till now. No, it's been me who's been enduring, living with my in-laws and putting up with their mistreatments. It's me who has been putting up with everything all this time. Yet, why do I have to be the one faced with a divorce form? Especially at this time, with surgery tomorrow? Overwhelmed with anger, sadness, and despair, I covered my face with my hands. Then, as if to make things worse, I heard my in-laws' voices. A woman who can't have kids is useless, just quietly step back. Clinging to a younger husband at your age is disgraceful. These 3 years were a waste for Michael. Just disappear from our lives. My in-laws' words tore through my heart. I bit my lip, holding back tears, and with trembling hands, I managed to scribble my name on the form. Good, now you're nothing to me, Michael said, storing the divorce form in his inner pocket. As he was leaving, Michael added, "Actually, I've recently met a nice girl at work. She's young, cute, and healthy. I made the right choice not getting stuck with an ugly, old gene pool." Shocked by his cruel words, I was speechless. Pushed to rock bottom, little did I know that 3 years later, when I would meet Michael again, things would take such an unexpected turn. My name is Emily Williams. I married Michael, 2 years my junior, 2 years ago. I met Michael at work when I was 38, and after his relentless pursuit, we ended up getting married. I had already given up on the idea of marriage and initially kept turning down his invitations. There are plenty of younger women out there. But I like someone independent and calm like you, Emily. I'm 38 and might not be able to have kids. I don't want kids, I just want to be with you, Emily. Michael insisted. No matter what I said, he was adamant that I was the only one he wanted to marry. So, I presented him with just one condition for marriage. Just promise me this. I'm not so focused on having children that I'd struggle with late pregnancy. Let's not force having kids, they are a blessing that should come naturally. Michael agreed to this condition, and that's how we ended up getting married. Michael, who had always lived with my in-laws, insisted on continuing to live with them even after our marriage. I'm an only child, and I'll eventually have to take care of my parents. Why not start living together with them from the beginning? I was a bit hesitant to live with strangers at this age, but since he had married someone like me, I agreed to live with my in-laws, Jacob and Olivia. However, I soon realized this was a mistake. Emily, we'd like you to take care of shopping, cooking, washing dishes, taking out the trash, and cleaning the bathroom. Why should I be the only one doing so much when there are 4 adults living here? I couldn't voice it, but I felt distrustful of them from the start. They seemed to think of me as a housekeeper. Emily, I feel like eating stew today. Emily, the entrance is dirty, clean it. Emily, iron my shirt. How had the 3 of them been living up to now? Their house wasn't dirty, so someone must have been doing the chores before I arrived. This made me even more frustrated. Moreover, my in-laws were overjoyed, assuming that since their only son, Michael, got married, they would soon have a grandchild. You're almost 40, you should start infertility treatment soon. No, we're fine even without kids. What are you talking about? There's no point in marriage if you're not gonna have kids. My in-laws argued as if choosing not to have children was inconceivable. Well, we're not young anymore, so we decided not to be too anxious about having kids. Michael initially tried to convince my in-laws, remembering the condition of our marriage. But my in-laws were persistent. No matter how much Michael tried to persuade them, a few days later, they'd start grandchildren yet? One day, Michael came into the room, his face red with anger. Mom said I should get checked at the hospital because it might be my fault you're not pregnant. His pride as a man was hurt, and he started taking it out on me. But hey, it's not my fault. It's just Michael being upset on his own. Of course, I didn't say it out loud, but my frustration kept growing day by day. I'll prove it's your fault we can't have kids. We're going to the hospital, he eventually declared. However, I had no intention of undergoing fertility treatments, so I ignored what Michael said and made up an excuse about being busy at work to escape his family's house. I'm home. Mom, listen to this. I was relieved that my parents' home was near my workplace. Before going home, I would stop by my parents' house to get things off my chest. There, my loving parents, Tom and Scarlett Smith, who had already retired and were enjoying their golden years, would be waiting for me. I wondered how my parents felt about their daughter, who had finally married in her 40s, suddenly exploding with complaints about her marriage. At first, I felt guilty towards my parents, but they listened to my complaints like it was just casual conversation over drinks.
Emily, what happened today? Our neighbor gave us some good sake, let's drink together.
Maybe it's because they took it so lightly that I could vent to them. Why does everyone think marriage equals kids? And even though pregnancy and childbirth are all hard on the woman, the husband's parents have so much to say.
People are just set in their ways, especially as they get older.
I'm known for my gentle demeanor.
Your dad has mellowed with age. Maybe Michael may be like your dad? Over time, this situation will probably turn into a laughing matter.
My parents always tried to encourage me. Having them always on my side gave me the strength to keep going in my marriage. Then, one day on my way home from work, I suddenly felt a sharp pain in my lower abdomen. What is this pain? I started sweating from the pain and couldn't stand anymore, so I sat down on the sidewalk. I tried to reach for my phone to get help, but my hands were shaking too much to find it. Fortunately, a passerby noticed and called an ambulance for me. At the hospital, after various tests, I was told there was a possibility of ovarian cancer. Can you contact your family right away? The nurse asked. I called Michael. It was past 7 p.m., usually the time he'd be home, but he didn't answer the phone no matter how many times I called. I had no choice but to call my mother.
I'm coming right now. You'll be okay, Emily.
My mother assured me and soon arrived at the hospital with my father. As soon as I saw my parents' faces, tears overflowed from my eyes. Even past 40, I wasn't strong enough to face cancer alone. My mother gently stroked my back. Together with my parents, I listened as the doctor explained my medical condition. There's a high likelihood of cancer in the right ovary. We recommend removing both ovaries and the uterus.
Does that mean I won't be able to get pregnant?
Yes. Were you hoping to become pregnant, Ms. Williams? Well, I hesitated. Honestly, at 41, I wasn't that desperate to have children. But faced with the pressure from Michael and my in-laws to have kids, I momentarily resisted the idea of becoming infertile by choice.
If I wanted to get pregnant, are there other treatment options?
I asked timidly. You need to think about what's best for your body first. My parents looked at me with worried faces. The doctor, looking intently at me, spoke quietly. There are methods, but we need further tests to see if they're applicable to you, Ms. Williams. My parents were probably surprised that I was concerned about pregnancy. I was surprised at myself too. I couldn't articulate my feelings well, but the thought of having both my ovaries and uterus removed, having never had children, left me feeling indescribably empty. A thought crossed my mind that maybe if I didn't give up and tried hard, Michael and my in-laws might change their views about me. Such thoughts also crossed my mind. I'm not ready to completely give up on pregnancy. Can we try keeping one ovary? The doctor looked into my eyes and nodded. I understand your feelings, Ms. Williams. However, depending on the progression, there might still be a need to remove everything. After discussing with the doctor, the decision was made to remove my right ovary, the site of the disease, in 5 days. If the disease was confined to the right ovary, we would observe with chemotherapy. If there's any spread, you'll need to give up on pregnancy. The doctor emphasized, and I nodded firmly. Thankfully, my parents didn't comment on my decision and quietly supported me. My mother visited me every day in the hospital, caring for my downtrodden spirits.
Did you get in touch with Michael?
No, he didn't answer the phone, and there's been no reply to my email about being hospitalized. I just don't understand Michael. My parents were silent, not expecting the relationship between their daughter and her husband to have deteriorated so much.
He must be busy. Your dad and I have plenty of time, so don't worry about laundry or anything. Oh, I'll buy your favorite pears later.
My mother made an effort to act cheerfully, trying to keep my spirits from sinking. The warmth of my parents was deeply comforting. I resolved to do my best in the surgery for them. That's when Michael and my in-laws entered my hospital room noisily. The day before the surgery, I glared at the three of them. "Why did you ignore my calls and emails?" Michael, with a smirk, replied, "Seems like you had a tough time. Good job." Expecting an apology for not contacting me, I was speechless and at a loss for words. I am about to undergo surgery, and yet they speak as if it's none of their business? Boiling with anger, I glared even harder at the three of them. Seeing me like that, they whispered something to each other and then looked at me with a smirk. "Get out! I don't want to see your faces." Unable to hold back, I yelled at them, forgetting I was in a hospital. Then Michael walked up to me and thrust a piece of paper at me. "If you're getting your ovaries removed, you can't have kids, right? I don't need you anymore, so can we get a divorce?" The paper Michael presented was, shockingly, a divorce papers. "Wait, what are you saying? Jokes like this are not okay, especially now." "This isn't a joke. I've been putting up with this until now. No, it's been me who's been enduring all this time. Yet, why do I have to be the one presented with the divorce papers? And all this happening right before my surgery tomorrow." Mixed feelings of anger, sadness, and despair swirled inside me, and I covered my face. Then, to make matters worse, I heard the voices of my in-laws. "A woman who can't bear children is useless, just quietly step aside. Clinging to a younger husband at your age is disgraceful. These 3 years were a waste for Michael. Just disappear from our sight." Their words tore my heart to pieces. The fact that I chose a treatment option to preserve my chance of pregnancy for these 3 people now seemed foolish. What is this treatment I'm getting? Stunned, I watched as Michael placed the divorce paper and a pen on my bedside table. "All you have to do is sign your name, and it's done. I'll take care of filing it, so you should at least be grateful." Saying this, Michael forced a pen into my trembling right hand. I wasn't necessarily against the divorce itself. In reality, I felt it would be unbearable to continue living with my in-laws, enduring their constant remarks until I had a child. But for the past 3 years, I endured their tyranny. Because they were family, and they only saw me as a machine for producing children. My resentment towards the 3 people, who, instead of supporting me through my cancer and upcoming surgery, presented me with a divorce, was profound. I bit my lip hard to hold back tears and, with great effort, steadied my trembling right hand with my left, furiously signing my name. "Good, now we're complete strangers," Michael said, tucking the divorce papers into his inner pocket. The 3 of them, looking satisfied, left the hospital room. Just before leaving, Michael turned back and said, "Actually, I've recently met a nice girl at work. She's young, cute, and healthy. She's got nothing on you." I made the right choice not getting stuck with an ugly, old gene pool. As I glared at Michael, he jokingly said, "Glad to be divorcing the old hag," and left. The room quieted down, and the only sound was my sniffling. Michael and my in-laws had pushed me, already crushed by illness and fear, even further down. I buried my face in the blanket, sobbing uncontrollably. After some time, I heard a knock on the door. In a panic, I covered my face with the blanket, pretending to sleep. "Emily, you're asleep. I peeled some pears for you, eat them later," said my mother, who usually entered without knocking. My mother quietly came in, placing a container with the pears on the table. "I'll move all your stuff to our house today. Once you're discharged, maybe you can help with the laundry. Oh, and your father has started cooking. Look forward to his meals. I'll come back tomorrow morning." My mother gently stroked my head peeking out from the blanket and left the room. My mother, without saying a word, seemed to understand everything. Maybe she overheard my conversation about the divorce outside the room. Feeling her endless kindness and warmth, I cried again. After a while, I felt better and looked up. The pears in the container were cut into bite-sized pieces, easy to eat. Thank you, Mom. Biting into the juicy pear and picturing my parents' smiling faces. I resolved to get better soon to repay my parents and set recovering and making them worry less is my goal. The next day, I underwent surgery to remove my right ovary. The right ovary turned out to be cancerous, but fortunately, the left ovary was healthy. The plan was to continue with chemotherapy to target any unseen cancer cells. The first chemotherapy session was tough due to side effects and the medication not agreeing with me. I couldn't eat anything, and my hair started falling out, making me visibly weaker. But my parents were always there, encouraging me.
Last night, we saw the meteor shower you love. Dad found 5 shooting stars. He made wishes so you'll get better.
I was touched to know my dad, who usually had no interest in such things, had stayed up to watch the sky just for me. His love made me feel the warmth of family anew. Thanks to them, I was able to maintain a strong determination to persevere for their sake. After 6 months in the hospital, I switched to outpatient treatment.
If no one uses it, the house just gathers dust. We're glad you're coming back home.
Taking me back home as if it were the most natural thing, never mentioning my divorce. I couldn't return to work immediately, so I spent some time recovering at my parents' house. Supported by my parents, I gradually started to feel like myself again. Then the second new year since my surgery dawned. Before my illness, I used to spend New Year's Day just sleeping, but after experiencing cancer, I made sure to lead a regular, healthy life.
Ah, that was a good walk.
As I returned home from my usual morning walk. Just then, the mailman arrived and handed me some New Year's cards. Flipping through them, I found one with a baby's photo. It came from Michael. While I was battling my illness, Michael had moved on, finding happiness and even having a child, just as my in-laws had wanted. I wondered what his intention was in letting me know this. Although the card didn't make me feel good, Michael was now a stranger to me. There was no point in wasting my energy on a stranger. I decided to move on. Also, I was certain that my parents would be upset if they found this New Year's card. I immediately tore it up and threw it away as soon as I entered the house, making sure they never knew about it. After the new year, I managed to return to work. My office was just a couple of train stops from my parents' house, so it was manageable for me to commute.
How was the healthy lunch? It was delicious, thanks as always.
Every day, my father prepared balanced lunch for me. My father, who never cooked while I lived at home, now making lunch for me. I was deeply touched.
Dad, you're really good at cooking. Could you always cook?
I quietly asked my mother, who shook her head.
Your dad got excited about making your lunch. He's improved his cooking skills over the past few months.
Seeing father humming while packing the lunch, I could tell he was truly happy that I was getting better. Parents give their children unconditional love, no matter how old they get. I wish I could have been a parent like mine, giving unconditional love. I smiled to myself, thinking vaguely about it. Although I kept one ovary, it turned out to be unnecessary for me, a single woman. But I need to stay healthy for my parents, and someday, I'll repay them. I made that resolution anew. Since then, I have been living a healthy and peaceful life, both mentally and physically. But one day, Michael and my in-laws suddenly appeared in front of me. They were waiting outside my parents' house for me to return from work. Emily. Michael muttered my name, and all 3 of them knelt down, not caring about the people around. I was wrong. I want to start over. What is he saying now, especially since he already has a child? I was furious at Michael's irresponsibility and my in-laws who followed him around like a shadow, all kneeling together. As I glared in silence, Michael began to explain. I was deceived. According to him, he quickly married the young woman from work. Because she was already pregnant. I was angry to learn he had cheated while we were still married. Then, as the New Year's card showed, a son was born, and he thought he was living a perfect life, but it turned out his current wife had another man. Michael found out when he hired a detective because he felt suspicious about his wife always going outside to take calls and never leaving her phone unattended. Shockingly, the child he thought was his own was actually the child of his wife's lover. When Michael confronted his wife, she nonchalantly admitted to the affair and the child's paternity. And with a brazen attitude, she reportedly said, laughing, "Of course, I'd choose my boyfriend's genes over those of an ugly, old guy like you." I've heard that line before. I muttered under my breath, and Michael hung his head in shame. "I'm truly sorry. I finally realize how terribly we've treated you." Following his lead, his parents also apologized. "I won't say anything about kids anymore. Please come back and live with me." Look, my parents are truly sorry. How audacious of them. After everything they had put me through, I couldn't comprehend their nerve showing up like this, and I couldn't bring myself to even speak to them. Just then, my parents and a man appeared from the house, having heard the commotion at the front door.
"Guests? What are you doing here?"
My mother exclaimed in shock upon seeing Michael and my in-laws kneeling before me. The man behind my parents was surprised at first, but then quickly understood the situation and rushed to my side. "Please stay away from my wife." He shielded me from Michael and my in-laws. Michael and my in-laws were dumbfounded. "Your wife? What do you mean, Emily? This is a joke, right? Why would he think it's a joke?" I seized the moment to retaliate. "Sorry, but I'm married to him. Thanks to you demanding a divorce back then, I found someone who loves me for who I am, not just as a childbearing machine." I proudly clung to my new husband's arm in front of them. He was a colleague from work who took over my responsibilities while I was on leave and continued to help me upon my return. After I returned to work, he helped me with my tasks to ensure I didn't overexert myself, and gradually, I found myself spending more and more time with him. Being with you, Emily, makes me appreciate the little joys of life. Will you marry me? He had proposed, accepting me entirely, and we were married 6 months ago.
"Wait, is that a maternity badge on your bag?"
My mother-in-law shrieked, noticing the maternity badge on my bag. Michael's face contorted in anger when he saw the badge.
"You said you had your ovary removed. Did you lie to me? Lying is despicable. Enjoy playing the tragic heroine?"
Michael and my in-laws were still harassing me just like before.
"Wasn't it you who forced a one-sided divorce without listening to my side? You were the ones who desperately wanted children, and I chose to keep one ovary to maintain even the slightest possibility of pregnancy, but you never listened, did you?"
Remembering the situation made my blood boil. Sensing my anger, my new husband gently stroked my back to calm me. My wife endured tough chemotherapy and is still fighting hard with her remaining ovary. I ask you not to approach my dear wife again. If you break this promise, we will take legal action," he said firmly, making Michael and his parents back away.
"Ha, came to look after the single you, thinking of keeping you as a housemaid. Well, suffer through a high-risk pregnancy if you like,"
Michael said spitefully as he left with my in-laws. My parents rushed over to me.
"Emily, are you okay? Seriously, if they show up again, I won't forgive them."
Our parents' face filled with anger, having seen me suffer through the tough times. "I will absolutely protect Emily, so please rest assured, father-in-law and mother-in-law." My husband reassured my parents, finally easing the tension. Later, my mother shared some gossip she had heard. Michael had his new wife live with his parents just like me. I had thought they were simply deceived by their new daughter-in-law, but it wasn't entirely the case. They had mistreated me, thinking I couldn't have children. So I imagined they must have been kinder to the pregnant new wife, but that wasn't true either. They didn't treat her any better, making her do housework and carry heavy things despite being pregnant. Neighbors had even helped her carry groceries, worried about her carrying heavy loads with a big belly. The new wife was wrong to have cheated and deceived Michael. But considering how they exploited her, no one could sympathize with them. Michael and my in-laws twice made their spouses live with them and treated them like maids, only to end up divorcing them shortly afterward. In the neighborhood, such bad rumors spread, and soon, nobody wanted to associate with Michael and his family. Even though they were still looking for a new wife to take care of them, whenever Michael brought a woman home, the neighbors quickly warned her about them. Thanks to that, they didn't manage to prey on any more women, and the three of them now live a meager life, viewed oddly by the neighborhood. Was their house like a junkyard before you married into it? No, it was reasonably clean. I think Olivia must have been taking care of the house properly when there was no daughter-in-law. Ah, I see. My mother nodded, understanding the situation. Recently, Olivia's health has been declining, probably due to her age. It seems Michael is taking care of Olivia while working, but with just two men, they are struggling to manage, and their house has recently become unkempt. They're getting what they deserve. The three of them, bound by blood, have to figure it out on their own. I hope that they will reflect on how they have mistreated their spouses in the past and live their lives with that lesson in mind.
Mommy, I'm home.
Just then, my daughter and husband came home.
Welcome back, we were waiting. Let's play with Grandma.
My daughter jumped into my mother's arms with a big smile. She is turning 2 this year. When she was born, my husband and parents cried tears of joy and thanked me. There was a time when I wondered why I chose to keep one ovary, and I felt guilty for making my parents worry as they silently supported my choice. But now, I have no regrets at all. Because I have such a wonderful family. After giving birth, we rented an apartment near my parents' house. My parents often visit us, bringing extra dishes they cooked or vegetables they received from friends. I've resigned myself to not having another child due to my age, but it's been a great relief that my parents play with my daughter, so she doesn't feel lonely without siblings.
Grandma's staying for dinner, right? Is that okay with you, Emily? Of course. Call Dad over too.
Thanks. There are some pears in the fridge for Dad to bring over. Our ordinary, warm conversations filled the room. Despite experiencing mistreatment, divorce, and illness, I'm now living happy days, thanks to my parents and current husband. And my life is brighter because of my daughter, who came to me halfway through my life saying, I wanted to be a parent who could give unconditional love like my father and mother.
Mommy, this is for you.
My daughter placed a little acorn she found in the park in my hand.
Wow. Thank you. I'll cherish it.
I hugged her tightly. Together, cherishing these small joys, our family wants to continue living a life full of love and care for each other. Even if you're not pretty, celebrate your sister's wedding. The groom is your ex-fiancé. What? I don't have a sister.
Huh?
My ex-fiancé, Daniel, who married my beautiful sister, Camila, proudly hurled these words at me. I should just ignore him and move on. But he can't seem to stop himself from mentioning it. Actually, Camila and I.
What? No way.
It seemed like a misunderstanding, so I told Daniel the truth. This led to a huge fight between Daniel and Camila right before the wedding. Camila tried hard to calm things down, and the wedding went ahead, but I unintentionally became the center of attention, causing her rage. It wasn't my fault, though. Daniel and Camila kept bothering me even after the wedding, so I had to make them understand what they were doing. My name is Nancy Sasaki, 27 years old, an office worker. I had a boyfriend for 6 years. His name is Daniel, 33 years old. Daniel's job is a stage actor. Unfortunately, he wasn't successful at all. We met when I was still a college student. I was invited to a play where a college friend was performing, and Daniel was also in it. Daniel noticed me from the stage and approached me after the show. He was 6 years older, and I remember being initially scared.
You stood out in the audience. You're really cute.
I was wary of Daniel, who came on strong. Because I had been called unattractive before but never cute. Luckily, my friend protected me, and I didn't have to give him my contact information. But later, Daniel found my social media and sent me a message. I blocked him immediately. However, Daniel didn't give up easily and persistently contacted my friend to get my phone number. I didn't want to trouble my friend anymore. When Daniel sent another message from a new number, I finally agreed to go out with him just once. "You are more beautiful than any woman I've seen."
Please stop. I've never been told that, so I don't know how to respond.
Daniel was the kind of man who said such things casually. He praised me throughout the date. Compliments about my voice, fingertips, shiny hair, pleasant scent, and more. Everything about me. He was the first man to ever praise me like that. Regrettably, by the end of the date, I found myself wanting to see him again. I had no confidence in myself. I was abandoned at the age of 7. I never felt at home with my family. My mother never praised me and always said, "I wish you were never born." So, I always thought of myself as unworthy of love. Maybe I just wanted someone's approval. Daniel fulfilled my need for approval in just one day. By then, I think I was already hooked on him. We started dating naturally after he asked me out a few times. But Daniel, who once fulfilled my need for approval, changed over 6 years.
Hey, you're an actor's girlfriend. Can't you at least wear makeup when you're out? I am wearing makeup.
Seriously? That's makeup. Wow, you're aging fast. Daniel started to criticize my looks. His purpose for dating me became apparent.
I'm in a pinch this month. Again? The month just started.
It can't be helped. Socializing is important for an actor. He claimed to be an actor, but it was self-proclaimed. He hadn't had a stage job in a year. He was barely working, mostly part-times. And often skips work.
I'd like you to pay back everything you owe. Why? We're gonna get married, right? No need to pay back.
I was 27 and vulnerable to the idea of marriage. But Daniel's words had been the same for the past 3 years. I have a faint understanding of it. I knew deep down he had no intention of marrying me. But I had no one else who would accept me. I thought I'd never meet anyone else who would acknowledge me. I used to think that way. So, I lent him money again, knowing it wouldn't come back.
Hey, you entered my room without permission when I wasn't there, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Why? Stop entering my place when I'm not around.
Okay, but why? You used to let me in.
There might be fellow actors staying over. I don't want you getting assaulted. They're all frivolous guys. So always contact me before coming.
Okay. I sighed. It had been 6 months since Daniel took away my spare key. Now, he was telling me to call before coming over. It felt like we were moving backwards instead of towards marriage. I'd sometimes use it to sneak in to clean, do laundry, or cook. Why is he bringing this up now? Was he actually bothered by it all along? Anxiety began to spread within me. Lately, I had been confiding in a colleague at work about Daniel. His name is Bob, 30 years old. Bob had become concerned after seeing my small lunch. I was embarrassed to be caught eating it in a hidden spot.
Our company doesn't pay that poorly, right? I'm just saving money.
I lied, but soon opened up about Daniel. Talking about it was surprisingly therapeutic, and I found myself frequently seeking Bob's advice. But recently, he had been blunt. "You should break up with that guy as soon as possible." I knew it, but couldn't bring myself to leave Daniel. It was disheartening. Finally, I resolved to end things. When Daniel came over, I sat him down to talk. "What's up?" "I'm hungry," he said, obviously here for food and money. Remembering this, I braced myself and started the conversation. "Hey, we've been together for 6 years. Shouldn't we think about the future?" "The future?" Daniel's attitude was clearly reluctant. I felt it was a waste to spend any more time on this.
"If you can't see a future with me, let's break up."
"What?"
"I want to break up. Your stuff is packed. Take it with you. I'll get mine tomorrow."
To my surprise, Daniel panicked when I initiated the breakup.
Wait. Is this some kind of joke?
I'm serious. Seeing my earnest face, he suddenly grabbed my hand.
Okay, let's get engaged.
What? Wait for the ring, though. I'm broke right now. I don't need a ring. Daniel had just proposed out of the blue.
Nancy, will you marry me?
He made a ring out of a straw and put it on my finger, bringing me to tears. Really?
Of course. I love you, Nancy. I never want to lose you.
I foolishly believed his words, thinking he really wanted to marry me. After our engagement, everything seemed brighter. It felt like the fog had finally lifted. I was elated for days, even leaving behind something important at Daniel's place. It was a crucial document for work. I decided to get it without calling, as I knew he had an audition that day. I figured he wouldn't notice since I was just grabbing a document, and besides, we were engaged now. I interpreted it as the situation being different from a few days ago. But the key wasn't in its usual spot. Then, a voice came from inside. Hearing noises inside, I first thought he had actor friends over. But the sounds were intimate. Daniel's voice was unmistakable. Quietly turning the doorknob, which was unlocked, I heard.
Aren't you going to tell her soon? Maybe I should milk her for more money before dumping her.
Wow, you're terrible. I knew they were talking about me. I entered to find Daniel and another woman. They were in bed.
What is this?
I expected them to panic, but Daniel got defensive.
Didn't I say to call first? Why are you here?
The woman just smirked and calmly dressed. I recognized her face. Long time no see, Nancy.
How do you know my name?
You forgot? Memories of a dark past flooded back. My brain recalled memories from that time. Before being abandoned, there was another girl in the oppressive home with my mother. Her name was Camila, 3 years younger than me. She was here, in front of me, growing into a beautiful woman. Camila was my mother's favorite. She was cute and smart as a child, always pleasing my mother, while I was seen as slow and a disappointment. I resembled our father, whom my mother hated. Camila always watched me being mistreated with a smirk. Just like now. Camila, now 30 years old, certainly retained the traces of her past self and had become even more beautiful.
When I heard you were her sister, I was surprised. You're nothing alike.
You're ugly.
But Daniel, you said I was cute.
I don't remember saying that. Be careful, she's always been a liar. Oh my gosh. They laughed, bringing back more painful memories. My mother and Camila often laughed at me like this. I left the place as if I were fleeing. I fled, breathless from running and heartbreak. I had believed Daniel for 6 years, thinking he was the only one who accepted me. That's what I believed, but now that it's been betrayed, I don't know what to do and everything in front of me goes completely dark. The next day, I told Bob everything. He listened silently, helping me realize the engagement was a lie, and that there was no point in continuing with Daniel. I demanded repayment of the money I had lent Daniel.
You only lent it because you liked me, right? Why do I have to pay it back? It was under the promise of marriage. Now that we're not getting married, it's only fair you pay it back.
I don't wanna. I have no intention of paying you back. Plus, you have no proof that you lent me anything. In the end, I never got the money back. I had no choice but to accept the loss. Daniel and I had been together for 6 years, but we never lived together. If we had been living together for that long, I might have been able to claim some legal status as a common-law wife, but we weren't in that kind of relationship. In fact, at the beginning, I was the one giving him money, so I couldn't demand repayment from Daniel. I could have hired a lawyer, but that would have cost even more money.
Just stay away from me. Camila doesn't like you. After stealing so much of my time, I can't forgive you. Yeah, I don't need your forgiveness.
Daniel waved his hand dismissively, as if shooing away a stray cat. Months passed, and I tried to recover from the heartbreak by immersing myself in work. When I was busy, I could forget everything. One night after working late, I came home to find a wedding invitation in my mailbox. I opened it, curious about who it was from, and it was from the two people I wanted to forget the most: Daniel and Camila. They had even included a photo of themselves. They probably put it in just my envelope. As I was about to throw the invitation in the trash, my phone rang. It was Daniel's number, one I couldn't forget even though I hadn't saved it. "What do you want? Don't sound so scary. What's up?" "If there's nothing important, I'm hanging up." "Hang on, don't be so hasty. You're gonna come to our wedding, right?" I was incredulous. Why should I attend the wedding of my ex-fiancé? As I was thinking of how to end the call quickly, he said, "Even if you're not pretty, you should celebrate your sister's wedding. The groom is your ex-fiancé, after all." "What? I don't have a sister." "Huh?" Daniel burst into laughter. I didn't understand what was so funny. "We met at my place recently, remember? You're talking about Camila." "I know that." "Then stop lying about not having a sister." "I'm not lying." Daniel started to get frustrated. I realized this conversation was going nowhere and felt a headache coming on. I might have to explain things properly. "We're not family. I have no obligation to attend your wedding. Come on, I've reserved a seat for you." "Oh, you don't want to meet your mother who abandoned you?" "It's not that." "Fine, I'll explain. The truth is, Camila and I are not blood related. Camila is the daughter of my mother and her previous husband. I was my father's child from another relationship. However, my father left, abandoning both my mother and me. So, I have no blood relation to my mother either. She kept me around initially as an excuse for my father to return, but after 2 years, I became a nuisance. That's when I was sent to a children's house. So, I'm not really related to Camila." Daniel finally seemed to understand. "That's why I have no reason to attend the wedding. I'm not family." "I wasn't told any of this." "That's not my problem." Daniel had believed Camila was my real sister. Camila must have fed him lies about me. "When did you meet Camila?" "About 6 months ago, I guess." "That long? So, you've been cheating for half a year?" "Well, let's just leave it, it's all in the past." I felt a boiling rage, realizing their affair had been going on for so long. It's one thing to be deceived, but Daniel's readiness to believe someone he met only 6 months ago over me, after 6 years together, was infuriating. At the same time, I felt my feelings for him cool off completely. "I'm glad you called today." "Thanks." "What? Thanking me? That's weird. Because of this call, I've completely lost any feelings I had for you." "What do you mean by that?" I wondered why I ever needed Daniel so much. It wasn't love, I just enjoyed being acknowledged by him. Now I finally understand that. Even knowing Daniel was deceived by Camila, I felt nothing. I couldn't find it in me to help or care about him anymore. If there's no empathy, it's not love. "I'm a stranger to all of you now. Please don't contact me again." I said this and hung up, then blocked his number. But a few days later, Camila showed up in front of me. She caught me as I was leaving work. She must have asked Daniel where I worked. You told Daniel unnecessary things." "I just told him the truth since he seemed to misunderstand that we were real sisters." "Thanks to you, I'm being called a liar now." After our call, Daniel kept trying to call me back. Camila saw him, and when she asked what he was doing, he burst out, "That lying woman. She made a fool out of me." Camila apologized and somehow managed to calm Daniel down, avoiding calling off their wedding. I still couldn't understand why she was so desperate to marry him. "Because of your meddling, I'm in an uncomfortable position." "That's your own doing. Not my problem." "You always act so cool about everything I do."
Show some regret.
What? Camila suddenly lashed out in anger. Her face twisted with rage. I was clueless and asked her to explain. As a child, when our father was still around, I was apparently the favored one. Though I have no memory of it. Camila must have felt like I was taking her mother's affection away. So, she worked hard at school and helped around the house. But still, I was more favored. That frustrated her. When our father left, my mother turned cold towards me. Which Camila found satisfying. Seeing me mistreated by our mother was a pleasure for her.
But when you were sent to the facility, I missed seeing you suffer.
20 years later. She saw me walking happily with Daniel. And couldn't stand hearing him call me cute.
I can't stand you being happier than me.
She decided to take Daniel away from me. Approaching him as my sister. And seducing him with her beauty. She bragged about all this, but I just felt pity for her.
You must have a lot of free time. What did you say?
Seriously. I left home 20 years ago, and you're still hung up on that?
What a waste of time.
Camila lost it. And lunged at me. Just as Bob happened to come out. Bob rushed over to us.
What are you doing?
He demanded. Positioning himself protectively in front of me. Camila looked at Bob, surprised, and suddenly became quiet.
Nancy, who is this?
He's my colleague from work. Camila started fidgeting. Probably because Bob is handsome. I'm her sister, Camila.
Sister?
Actually, I'm getting married soon, but my sister won't come. That's why we're arguing. Bob seemed to think for a moment, then said something astonishing to Camila. Can I attend your wedding?
Yes. Of course. Please come. I'll reserve a seat for you.
Make sure it's next to Nancy. Bob said with a smile. Camila's eyes turned into hearts. After Camila left, I complained to Bob. But he just winked and said he had a plan. I was frustrated at how all the men around me were so self-centered. And then, the wedding day arrived. I hadn't planned on going, but there I was, attending. What was Bob thinking? I had no idea. Filled with anxiety, I entered the venue. The wedding was a garden party, stand-up style. With no specific seats. So I stood away from the family area. Surprisingly, Bob escorted me perfectly. I wasn't looked at strangely, and even the family and Camila's friends who were whispering turned their attention to Bob. Then I met my mother after a long time. She looked uncomfortable, but when Bob spoke to her, she was just like Camila, all starry-eyed. She seemed to mistake him for my boyfriend. And glared at me jealously. That's when I realized how charming Bob was. During the wedding, Camila came over to us. Thank you for coming today, Bob too. I'm delighted to be invited. By the way, Bob, do you know? The groom is actually Nancy's ex-fiancé. Camila started boasting. Though Bob obviously knew. And, well, Nancy has a bit of a tendency to lie, so don't be too hard on her.
What are you saying?
Stop it. It's my wedding day. If you shout like that, everyone will be startled. See, she can't even control her emotions. Bob sighed deeply. I thought he was disappointed in me. I wanted to believe he understood me, but feared being betrayed like with Daniel. My heart was in turmoil. Really, it's a shame. Camila smirked. Poor Nancy, having such a painful sister.
What?
You know, you should enjoy the wedding more instead of worrying about your sister.
What did you say?
Sorry, but I don't believe in hearsay. I know Nancy better than anyone. I've been watching her since she joined the company. People started gathering around us. Even Daniel came over, wondering what was happening.
What's going on?
Oh, the groom. I wanted to meet you and say thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for finally breaking up with Nancy. It gave me a chance. Then Bob suddenly confessed to me. He said he fell in love with me at first sight when I joined the company. But knowing I had a boyfriend, he had no choice but to give up. Still, he couldn't get over it and had been harboring feelings for me for 5 years. This took me by surprise.
Don't do whatever you want at my wedding.
That's true. Then, we'll be excusing ourselves. Bob said this, took my hand, and led me away, leaving everyone stunned. The lovey-dovey video of Daniel and Camila played after we left. It was meant to flaunt their happiness to me, but apparently no one watched it, still buzzing from the proposal they had just witnessed. I could easily imagine Camila being upset during the rest of the wedding. Even my mother reportedly said, "Camila, why didn't you marry someone like Bob?" Enraged, Camila called me that night.
Should you be talking to me on your wedding night? Shut up. I can't rest until I've said this to you.
You invited me, right?
That doesn't mean you can cause trouble.
I didn't cause any trouble. Camila was fuming, talking over me in anger. Just leave me alone, will you?
I'm not bothering you.
I understand it's frustrating, but constantly comparing yourself to others is pointless.
What do you know?
I don't. But it's silly to marry a man you don't love just to see me lose something. Ever thought about wasting your own life? Camila was stunned into silence by my words. And hung up. It must have been a shock. This was a chance for her to finally face herself. I hoped she would start living her own life, not one focused on belittling others. After that, I heard nothing more from Camila. She couldn't divorce Daniel right away since they had just married. And the wedding was paid for by our mother. She had to reimburse that. So she tried to get the money from Daniel. Pay half of the wedding expenses.
What? You think I have that kind of money?
That's not what we agreed on.
I told you I didn't want a wedding in the first place.
The marriage continued for a while with Daniel not working. And Camila supporting the household. Eventually, Camila couldn't take it anymore and served him divorce papers.
I can't stand this life anymore.
She left, saying that. So now, Daniel has reappeared before me, spilling this story without me even asking. It was during a cold winter at the station near my workplace. Daniel was waiting for me at the train station nearest to my office. She left me, you see. Now I realize, the only one who can support my acting career is you, Nancy. Let's start over. Talk in your sleep.
What?
Daniel seemed to still misunderstand that I had feelings for him. Once you wake up, it's clear how pitiful such a man is. I felt pathetic for clinging to him for 6 years. Hey, how long are you going to keep calling yourself an actor? It's pathetic. You know it, don't you? You're not making it.
What's gotten into you?
You're not even trying. There's no woman left who'd devote herself to a man like that. I've finally woken up. Thanks for dumping me.
Hey, wait!
Daniel blocked my way. I never thought I'd see the day Daniel, with his high pride, would apologize to me.
Hey! Stop it! Not here! Please! Give me another chance! I'll treat you right this time.
Do you really think I can trust those words?
Please! I don't want to be alone.
At first, I thought he wanted to reconcile just to leech off another woman, but it seemed there was more to it. He didn't want to be lonely. After Camila left him, Daniel was alone. Apparently, his acting friends hadn't paid him any mind for years, and with no friends, he was truly alone. He couldn't return home after being disowned by his parents when he left to pursue acting. He had been fired from his job due to repeated no-shows and was scared of ending up completely isolated. However, hearing his story didn't make me sympathetic enough to forgive him. Besides, sorry to say this, but I'm engaged now, I said, removing my glove to show him my engagement ring. After Daniel and Camila's wedding, Bob had asked me to start a relationship with the intention of marriage.
Engaged? No way!
It's true. So I'm sorry.
To that guy. Stop it! He's no good!
Do you have the right to say that? Daniel seemed at a loss for words. Forget about me, please." I walked away, leaving him sitting there, dumbfounded. That was the last time Daniel appeared before me. Afterwards, Camila went back to live with our mother, who berated her as shameless. Needing to repay the wedding expenses, Camila couldn't defy her mother and ended up working at a local company for a low salary. Frustrated and angry at her situation, she eventually contacted Daniel again. Daniel, who was initially happy she returned, was disappointed to learn she only wanted him to pay for the wedding. But, believing that repaying the expenses could lead to reconciliation, he's now working 2 jobs. Rumor has it, Camila has no intention of getting back together and is just using him. I feel no obligation to enlighten him, let them figure it out. Meanwhile, Bob and I started looking for wedding venues. He respects my opinions, and we can share our joys. We maintain the same relationship at work. While I'm managing fine, Bob seems a bit awkward with the changes. So, I've decided to resign once we get married. This isn't just for Bob. I've always wanted to pursue a certain career and am going to attend school for it. Being able to discuss this openly is something I appreciate about Bob. Of course, he's supportive. Bob accepts me for who I am, and it feels very comfortable. He doesn't overly praise me, he just acknowledges me. I've realized that this is what true happiness feels like. My life is just beginning. I'm determined to live it my way, authentically and fully.